You wake up on a day where nothing is wrong. The bills are paid. The calendar is clear. The people you love are healthy. And within 60 seconds of opening your eyes, you feel it, that low hum. Not panic. Not dread. Something quieter. A restlessness that has no name and no target. You lie there, in a life you built, and you cannot understand why you feel like you are missing something. Here is what nobody tells you: the restlessness is not signaling that something is wrong with your life. It is signaling that something is wrong with your relationship to life itself. You have been treating this existence like a problem to be solved, and the restlessness is the residue of that failed project. You checked every box. You did everything you were supposed to do. And the restlessness did not go away. It just got quieter and more constant, like a frequency you have tuned out so well you forgot it was playing, until a quiet morning reminds you. Let me say the thesis plainly, because it is going to carry us through everything that follows. The restlessness you feel is not caused by a lack of security. It is caused by the pursuit of it. The very thing you have been doing to feel safe is the thing making you feel unsafe. Security is not something you achieve. It is something you abandon the need for. Now sit with that for a moment, because it is uncomfortable. Everything you have been told, by your culture, by your family, by the quiet logic of your own anxious mind, says the opposite. Plan more. Save more. Optimize more. Control more. And then, eventually, you will arrive. You will feel safe. You will feel settled. You will finally exhale. But you have not exhaled yet, have you? You still do not feel whole. You still do not feel like you. And the gap between the life you secured and the peace you expected to feel inside it, that gap is the whole story. Think about how you actually live. Your mind is almost never where your body is. You are eating breakfast and already rehearsing the meeting. You are at the meeting and already planning the evening. You are in the evening and already dreading tomorrow. You are on vacation and already mourning the end of it. You are holding the person you love and somewhere in the back of your mind calculating how long you get to keep them. Most people call this being responsible. The Stoics would call it being absent from your own life. Epictetus told his students something that sounds almost cruel until you understand it. You are not disturbed by what happens to you. You are disturbed by your judgment about what happens. The event itself is neutral. The story you tell yourself about it, that it should not have happened, that it means something terrible, that you need to prevent the next one, that is where the suffering is manufactured. And what is the pursuit of security if not the most elaborate story you tell yourself? It is the story that says, if I just arrange things correctly, nothing will go wrong. If I build the right walls, nothing will get in. If I hold on tight enough, nothing will slip through my fingers. But here is the truth nobody wants to say out loud: the walls you build to keep danger out are the same walls that keep you trapped inside the anxiety. Every guarantee you chase reveals a new uncertainty to worry about. Every wall you build reveals a new gap to patrol. This is not a failure of technique. It is a structural impossibility. You cannot make an impermanent world permanent. You cannot make an unpredictable future predictable. And the attempt, the relentless, exhausting attempt, is the engine of your anxiety, not its cure. Let me walk you through how this loop actually operates in your life, because naming it precisely is the first step toward breaking it. Your mind perceives the future as uncertain. Fair enough, it is uncertain. So it attempts to gain control through planning, through worrying, through seeking guarantees, through building contingencies. But the future cannot actually be known or controlled. So the effort fails. Not because you did not plan well enough, but because the project itself is impossible. And that failure generates more anxiety, which triggers more control-seeking, which fails again, which generates more anxiety. And around you go. You know this loop. You have felt it at 3 in the morning, lying in bed, running scenarios. You have felt it in the way your chest tightens when you think about money, even when there is enough. You have felt it in the way you cannot fully enjoy a good moment because some part of you is already bracing for the bad one that must surely follow. Here is what nobody tells you about that bracing: it does not protect you. It does not prepare you. It just ruins the present you are standing in. You are paying for insurance against a disaster that has not happened, and the currency you are paying in is the only life you actually have, right now. This moment. This breath. This room you are sitting in. The exit from this loop is not better control. There is no better version of the same mistake. The exit is the abandonment of the project of security altogether. Not becoming reckless. Not becoming careless. But recognizing that the attempt to guarantee outcomes is itself the disease, and that no amount of symptom management will cure it. Marcus Aurelius understood this in his bones. He carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders: wars, plagues, betrayals, the slow rot of political power. And what did he remind himself of, in his private writings, over and over? That he had no control over what happened to him. Only over his own mind. Only over his own response. He did not write that as a platitude. He wrote it as a survival strategy, tested in the crucible of actual power and actual loss. The Stoic insight and the Eastern insight meet here, at this exact point, and I want you to feel the convergence because it is one of the most important things you will ever internalize. The Stoic said, accept what is beyond your control. The Eastern traditions, Zen, Taoism, Vedanta, go one step further and say, the very self that seeks control is an illusion. There is no separate, isolated you inside your skull, peering out at an alien world, trying to manage it from a distance. That feeling of being a small, defensive operator behind your own eyes, that is a construction. It is a persistent, convincing, exhausting fiction. And here is why this matters for your restlessness. The one who is restless is the fictional self. The one who is chasing security is the fictional self. The one who is scanning the horizon for threats is the fictional self. When you see through that illusion, not as an intellectual exercise but as a lived, felt recognition, the one who suffers begins to dissolve. Not because the problems vanish, but because the one who was holding them so tightly turns out to be made of the same stuff as the problems. Thoughts. Stories. A running commentary that you have mistaken for your actual self. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were fully present? Not performing presence. Not doing a mindfulness exercise. Not photographing the moment for later. When was the last time you were simply, completely, here, with no commentary running underneath? You probably cannot remember. And that is not a personal failing. That is the condition. Your mind has been trained, by years of habit, by an entire culture built on future-oriented thinking, to live everywhere except the present moment. The present is the only thing that is actually happening, and you spend almost none of your time there. You live in the past, which is memory. You live in the future, which is imagination. And both of those are just thoughts occurring right now. You have never actually been anywhere but here. You have just refused to be where you are. This is the cost. This is what the pattern is taking from you. Not your money. Not your time, exactly. It is taking your aliveness. Your capacity to taste the thing that is happening while it is happening. You have become a person who is always almost living, always on the verge of being present, always one more arrangement away from being able to relax. And that one more arrangement never comes. It cannot. Because the relaxation you are seeking is not on the other side of better planning. It is on this side of the wall, on the side where you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and let the present moment be exactly what it is. Consider something with me. Your body already knows how to do this. Your body is a master of present moment living. Right now, as you listen to this, your body is digesting, circulating blood, regulating temperature, breathing, all without your conscious direction. Your body is not worrying about tomorrow. It is not rehearsing the conversation you had yesterday. It is responding intelligently, moment by moment, to what is actually happening. When did you stop trusting that? The wisdom of the body is not a metaphor. It is a literal fact. Your body has been solving problems in real time since before you had language. And the moment you began overriding it with anxious thinking, with the project of control, with the need to guarantee, you cut yourself off from the most reliable intelligence you possess. Your body does not need certainty to function. It does not need guarantees. It needs attention. It needs you to come back to it, to stop living in your head, to stop treating the body as a vehicle for the anxious mind and start treating it as the ground of your actual experience. Here is a practice. Not a technique, a shift. The next time you feel that restlessness, that low hum, do not try to solve it. Do not try to figure out what is wrong. Do not open your phone. Do not make a list. Do not plan. Instead, do something that sounds almost too simple to work. Feel your body. Not think about your body, feel it. The weight of your feet on the floor. The temperature of the air on your skin. The rhythm of your breath moving in and out without your permission. Stay there. Not for a result. Not to calm down. Just to be where you actually are. What you will notice, if you stay long enough, is that the restlessness is not in the body. The body is fine. The body is always fine when you actually arrive in it. The restlessness is in the mind, in the commentary, in the projections, in the future you are trying to manage from a distance. The body is already here. The body has been here the whole time. It has been waiting for you to come back. This is what I mean when I say the cure is not more control. The cure is presence. And presence is not something you achieve. It is something you return to. Over and over. 1,000 times a day if you have to. Not perfectly. Not dramatically. Just the quiet, repeated act of coming back to what is actually happening instead of living in the story about what might happen. There is a difference between belief and faith that I want you to sit with, because it might be the most practical distinction you will ever learn. Belief is a rigid intellectual holding to propositions about the future. Belief says, I believe things will work out. I believe I will be okay. I believe the plan is solid. And here is the tell, you only believe firmly in things you are not sure of. Belief is a symptom of doubt. It is what you do when you do not actually trust. It is the mind trying to nail down what it cannot control by asserting that it is under control. Faith is something else entirely. Faith is not a belief system. Faith is a relaxed, open trust in life that does not require certainty. It is the willingness to live without guarantees. To act fully, to love fully, to commit fully, to show up fully, without knowing the outcome. Not because you have calculated the odds and they are in your favor. but because you have recognized that the demand for certainty is itself the prison, and the only way out is to stop demanding. Most people live in belief and call it faith. They live in the rehearsal and call it preparation. They live in the worry and call it being responsible. And they wonder why they feel restless. They wonder why, when everything is going fine, something inside them still will not settle. It will not settle because you are asking it to settle. You are asking life to hold still so you can feel safe. And life does not hold still. It was never going to hold still. The stillness you are chasing is not a condition of the external world. It is a condition of your own mind, and specifically, a condition of a mind that has stopped trying to control what it cannot. Think of it this way. Life is not a journey toward a destination. Life is a dance. And the point of a dance is not to arrive at a particular spot on the floor. The point is the dancing. You have been treating your life as a means to an end, as if the real part has not started yet, as if you are always in the preparation phase, always waiting for the conditions to be right before you give yourself permission to actually live. But the conditions will never be right. Not because the universe is cruel, but because the very idea of right conditions is a fiction invented by a mind that does not want to be here. It wants to be in a fantasy where everything is guaranteed and nothing can go wrong and the future is known and safe. That place does not exist. It has never existed. And you are sacrificing your actual, breathing, present moment life trying to get there. Let me bring this back to the ground, because philosophy that does not change how you live tomorrow morning is just entertainment. Here is what the shift looks like in practice. When you wake up and the restlessness starts, and it will start, because you are not going to fix this overnight, you have a choice. The old path is the familiar one. You reach for your phone. You start scanning. You start planning. You start running the loop. You try to control your way into feeling safe, and by noon you are more anxious than you were at dawn. That is the path you know. That is the path that has never actually worked, but you keep walking it because it feels like doing something. The other path is harder, but not in the way you might expect. It is harder because it requires you to do less. To not reach for the phone. To not start the scan. To sit with the restlessness instead of trying to solve it. To feel it in your body, to breathe with it, to let it be there without making it mean something is wrong. To stay in the present moment even when the present moment is uncomfortable, especially when it is uncomfortable, because the discomfort of being present is nothing compared to the slow suffering of being perpetually absent. The Stoics had a quality of being they practiced relentlessly. Not just accepting what happens, but embracing it. Not gritting your teeth and tolerating fate, but opening your hands and letting life move through you. Seneca, who faced exile, financial ruin, and eventually a forced death, did not practice acceptance as a coping mechanism. He practiced it as a way of being so grounded in the present that the future could not destabilize him. Not because he did not care, but because he understood that caring and controlling are two different things, and only one of them is actually available to you. You can care deeply about your life, your relationships, your work, your future, without trying to control any of it. That is not a contradiction. That is the whole art. Caring without grasping. Committing without guaranteeing. Showing up fully without demanding that the outcome match your expectations. This is what it means to rest inside life instead of gripping it. Because that is what you have been doing, is it not? Gripping. Holding on so tight your knuckles are white. Holding on to the plan, to the timeline, to the identity, to the version of the future you have already written in your head. And the tighter you grip, the more everything slips. The tighter you grip, the more you feel how little you actually control. And the more you feel how little you control, the harder you grip. That is the loop. That is the restlessness. That is the low hum that will not go away. The radical move is not to grip harder. The radical move is to open your hands. I want you to notice something about the human experience that you have probably been too close to see. Every single thing you have ever been afraid of losing, every relationship, every opportunity, every version of safety you have constructed, was impermanent from the start. Not because you did something wrong. Not because you failed to protect it well enough. But because impermanence is the nature of things. It is not a bug. It is the feature. It is the texture of existence. And here is the paradox that will set you free if you let it. The only real security available to a human being is the acceptance that there is no security. Not the intellectual acceptance, you have probably already agreed with that on some level. The lived acceptance. The kind that changes how you breathe, how you wake up, how you walk through your day. The kind that lets you enjoy a beautiful afternoon without already mourning its end. The kind that lets you love someone fully without already rehearsing their absence. The kind that lets you build something meaningful without demanding it last forever. That is real security. Not the absence of loss, but the ability to meet loss without being destroyed by it. Not the guarantee that nothing will change, but the confidence that you can handle whatever changes. And where does that confidence come from? Not from controlling the world. From knowing yourself. From being so rooted in the present moment, so grounded in what you actually are, not the fictional self, not the anxious manager, but the awareness itself, that the storms can come and you remain. This is what the Stoics practiced. Not a theory. A lived discipline. Marcus on the battlefield. Epictetus in his classroom, reminding his students that some things are up to us and some things are not, and that confusing the two is the source of all suffering. Seneca writing letters from exile, not falling apart, but turning the loss into material for his own growth. These were not people who had an easy relationship with impermanence. They had a hard one. Earned through loss, tested through pain, refined through daily practice. And the practice is available to you right now. Not after you finish the project. Not after you get the thing sorted. Not after the situation resolves. Right now. In this breath. In this moment. The practice is simple: stop leaving. Stop departing from the present to go manage a future that does not exist. Stop abandoning the only life you have for a fantasy of control. Come back. Come back to the room. Come back to the body. Come back to the sound of my voice, to the feeling of the air, to the simple fact that you are here, alive, breathing, and that this moment, right now, is not a stepping stone to something better. It is the thing itself. The dance. The only dance there is. And when you catch yourself leaving again, because you will, because the habit is deep, because the mind has been running this program for years, do not judge yourself. Just come back. That is the practice. Coming back. Again and again and again. Without drama. Without performance. Without the need to get it right. Just the quiet return. The restlessness will lose its grip. Not because you have defeated it, but because you have stopped feeding it. The restlessness lives on your resistance to the present. It lives on your demand that life be different from what it is. When you stop demanding, when you let the present be the present, when you let the future be unknown, when you let the self be the process instead of the manager, the restlessness has nothing to hold on to. It does not fight you. It just fades. Like a sound you have stopped attending to. Like a frequency that was always there, but you have finally stopped tuning in. Let me bring you back to where we started. You wake up on a day where nothing is wrong. And within 60 seconds, the hum begins. But this time, you do not reach for the phone. You do not start the scan. You do not try to solve the restlessness, because you have finally understood what it is. It is not a signal that something is wrong with your life. It is a signal that you have been trying to hold the ocean in your hands, and your hands are tired. The restlessness is the exhaustion of a self that has been trying to control the uncontrollable, and that self, the one who is trying, is the only one who suffers. Let it go. Not the life. Not the love. Not the commitments. Let go of the grip. Let go of the demand. Let go of the fantasy that if you just plan well enough, worry thoroughly enough, hold tight enough, you will finally feel safe. You will not. Not because you are doing it wrong, but because safety, as you have been chasing it, does not exist. It was never going to arrive. The arrival was always a horizon, always receding, always one more arrangement away. But here is what does exist. This moment. This breath. This body. This room. The warmth of the light. The sound of the air. The feeling of being alive, right now, without needing it to be anything other than what it is. That is not a consolation prize. That is the whole thing. That is the dance. And you have been so busy trying to choreograph it that you forgot to actually move. The restlessness you feel is not your enemy. It is the last honest signal in a life full of comfortable lies. It is telling you that the project of control has failed, not because you failed, but because it was never possible. And the freedom on the other side of that recognition is not the freedom of having everything figured out. It is the freedom of not needing to. So the next time you feel that hum, that low, constant, nameless restlessness, do not run from it. Do not fix it. Do not numb it. Turn toward it. Sit with it. Breathe with it. And let it remind you of what you already know, somewhere beneath the noise, that you were never meant to be secure. You were meant to be alive. And aliveness and certainty cannot occupy the same space. You have to choose. Choose aliveness. Choose the present. Choose the imperfect, impermanent, uncontrollable mess of being a human being in a world that does not hold still. And let that be enough. Let it be more than enough. Let it be everything. Stay present. Stay open. Stay alive.